All right, perfect. Let's start officially. Welcome to Accounting 230. I know we are a very small group at the moment, but I hope a few more students will be able to join us. So this is our Accounting 230 8-week short course, online only class. So we do not have on-ground class meetings, but as I send in my email, we do have one on-the-ground tutor session, which everybody is welcome to attend if you want to get to know us. Is Bob Smagula, Robert Smagula, who is the main instructor for this class, and that is me, Cornelia Alzheimer. We are usually on campus on Monday afternoons, and everybody's welcome to show up as long as you are meeting the vaccine requirement, the testing requirement, and have checked and cleared for. So for everyone who is local, that would be an option to actually meet us. Otherwise, you will meet us over Zoom. You will see us in recorded videos or in pictures, as you can see on your website, on the homepage. And I would like to start with introducing the instructors real quick. So my name is Cornelia Alzheimer. I'm the co-teacher for this class. Again, Bob is the main teacher for this course, but I am the person who is in charge of Canvas, as well as the assignments which are coming to us through Wiley Plus. Wiley is our textbook, the financial accounting textbook, and Wiley Plus is the textbook companion, which on which most of the assignments will come that you are doing during this class. So I'm also the department co-chair of the accounting department. I'm a super busy person, but I'm trying to respond to emails quickly. So if you want to contact me, you email me. Usually you should have an answer in 24 hours. And if you don't, please email me again, because I'm also in my side life, I'm the president of the faculty union, and that keeps me very busy. But again, there's also Bob. Bob is usually much better in being available and having more time for the students. So please email Bob as well. So, and Bob, why don't you introduce you real quickly to the class?
Hi, class. Hi, Liba. I'm Bob. I'm from back east. I've been teaching here for quite a while as on faculty, and before that as a tutor. I'm from New Jersey. Liba, what do you think of the state of New Jersey, Liba?
I went there once with my family. I liked it.
Oh, really? Where did you go? What town?
I don't remember the exact name, but
anyway, a lot of, Cornelia knows where I'm going with this. A lot of people think New Jersey is the stupidest state. Have you ever seen the Jersey Shore on television?
no.
Oh, you never seen these stupid shows? Okay, well, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about that. But there's a lot of television shows make New Jersey look bad. But anyway, I'm here to be your tutor if you need it, and as well as the teacher. And I'm glad you made it, Liba, even if you're only by yourself, huh?
I'm glad. My mom has been trying to wake me up since 7 o'clock to come to the class.
She what?
My mom has been trying to wake me up since 7 o'clock to come to the class.
Great. Liba, if you would like, you can introduce yourself real quick. If you don't, because it will be on a recorded video, that's fine too.
Well, my name is Liba, and I am returning student at SPCC. I graduated from UTSB, and my bachelor was in political science, and my minor was in clinical applied psychology. I got accepted to the MBA program. That's why I'm taking accounting classes and finance classes to meet their prereq requirement.
Oh, congratulations.
Wow,
that's
this
great.
is great. Cool.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. And again, we are hoping that some people will join us later. But let's move forward because we promised to be on time, and we will be on time. So what you see in front of you on the screen is our homepage. So when you get into your Canvas shell, if you click on Canvas, then you see all these little squares, these little tiles, and one of us is ours. As you can see, I have a lot, but most of them are actually from last fall. So at the moment, I only have 3 active classes, and this is our Accounting 230 short course. And when you click on this, this is what you will see. Not sure how comfortable you already are with Canvas. So I want to do a little walkthrough through our class. So there's a couple of very important links. I think, and I ordered them on the left-hand side here, as you see on this taskbar, in order what I feel they are most important. So there's the modules page. And on the modules page, you can see, you see a few more now than on yours, but you should see the Getting Started module. You should see the week 1 module, and there you will find all the important pages I actually want you to read through. So you get started with a start here, what you need to know. That page is pretty close to the home page. Then the syllabus quiz and the welcome discussion forum, which we hope that you can complete by tomorrow, because this is a fast-paced class and we don't have any time to lose. So after you have reviewed the syllabus, please take the syllabus quiz. You can take it as often as you like so that you can get all the points, and also post to the welcome discussion forum. And later today also, like Bob and I will post, we will also post an introductory post to that welcome discussion forum. So we will join you in your discussions. And then as you can see, towards the end of the week, we are already going into chapter 1. And once we are done with this introduction, Bob will actually start with the chapter 1 lecture and give a short summary of what you are going to read. And I would like to use chapter 1 as an example for how the modules are built up. So for every module, you have a Start Here page, which has an introduction to the chapter, and also will have the recording from this video or any other chapter video linked to it. So we have a short intro to the module, to the new chapter. It also has a list of what we want you to do. And among others, it says, attend our live Zoom lecture. So we are here, what we are doing. Or if you don't get to it, you can watch the lecture recording. And that is where I will post this here at this spot on this page. I will put a link to a YouTube channel that Bob has for all his lectures, right? So this is the Start Here page, and then you can click Next, and that already gets you to the syllabus quiz, but we are in chapter 1. That gets you to the overview video with Paul Kimmel. So Paul Kimmel is the main author of our textbook, and there is he also has an introductory video but it's very short. It's just like getting you started, and then we want you to start reading. So there's 2 ways to read the chapter. You can either open the ebook and read the chapter, or you can do this interactive tutorial, which is kind of a really nifty tool. It kind of reads the chapter to you, right? So I think it's actually funnier and more kind of like engaging to do the interactive tutorial. Once you have done the interactive tutorial, you pretty much have read the chapter. You don't have to actually read the textbook chapter again. So there's these 2 options. There's also people who like to kind of sit down. Maybe you have an actual textbook and take notes and stuff. That is good too. But if you rather want to have a little bit more engaging approach to the chapter, you can do the interactive tutorial. And that is now the first graded homework. So once you have done the interactive tutorial, or while you are doing it, or while you are reading that textbook chapter, we want you to summarize every textbook chapter, and we would like you to do that by hand. There's research that has shown that if you write something down by hand, it sticks in your brain much better than if you just type it. It also kind of forces you to rethink what you have just read through in the tutorial or in the textbook and put it into your own words. You should have at least 3 pages. You can have 4, 5, 6, as some people really say, okay, I really want to have an extensive study tool. So I rather want to have more than the minimum pages, which is amazing, which is great. As many pages as you want. You can also design it the way you want. You can include like graphs, flow charts, highlighting, underlining, color coding. Some people set it up a little bit like Cornell notes with 2 columns. That is all great. If you have a really large handwriting, or if you have a lot of charts and a lot of like drawings in there, I just want to remind everyone that then 3 pages is probably not enough. This is a professional class. We want to train you for the professional world. This is a very important homework. Bob and I feel very strongly that this is an assignment where you get a lot out of it and where you please put a lot of effort into. So we don't just, this is not just about covering white space on a page. This is an important assignment, and we hope you all take it seriously. All right, next one is the pre-lecture assignment. That is a couple of questions, usually very short. So what's happening is this is a Wiley, the typical Wiley Plus opening. It will like have this little picture and then somewhere on the bottom, and sometimes people have to scroll down to see it. Some people don't see that little open page. You have to click on open and it will then open the assignment for you. Let me see if it works for me. I have my, okay. It depends on my internet. Unfortunately, today is really slow. So it will look a little bit different for you, but because I am in the, because I'm in the instructor mode, but basically it will open for you, and then you can answer these questions. If you want to go back, please note that this will open in a different tab most of the times, right? So the back button, the back arrow not necessarily works. But you go back on a new tab. So then we are continuing. What else is there? There's a homework assignment for chapter 1. And that is also on Wiley Plus. As you can see, again, this very well-known image, and the same with the adaptive assignment. That is a question and answer thing, and it basically tests you how much did you understand of that chapter, and if the assignment, if the system notices that you still have some difficulties in specific areas of the chapters where you might not have quite grasped a certain concept, it will ask you more questions about that concept, making sure that you understand it. All right, and then there's resource material for sure, as I said before, the e-textbook. If you click that link, it will immediately take you to the actual textbook, the Wiley textbook, on the page that you are supposed to start reading. But again, as I said at the beginning, it's not really needed to do the interactive tutorial and read the e-textbook, but maybe you want to look up something on the e-textbook. That is the link where you can get it. And then the other one is the PowerPoints for the lecture. These are the PowerPoints that Bob is going to use for his lecture. He might not use all of them, right? Because otherwise you are sitting there for a long time. They're very informative. And So what some students like to do is, I just want to point that out, they maybe print the PowerPoints, and then while Bob is lecturing, they're taking notes on the PowerPoints. So you can either open them in the screen, or there's a link up there where you can download them. So if you see that link up there where it says PPTX, you can click on it, you can download them, and you can print them out. Okay, so, and this is already the chapter 1, and pretty much every module is the same. So as you can see, we are now already jumping into module 2. Same thing, short introduction, a list of what we need you to do, and then we go from there. So this is the modules page. The next page, which we feel is very important, it lists a number of the very same material. As you can see, they all look the same. Okay, of the same material, but the it's a little bit shorter. Uh-oh. There we go. It's the syllabus page. Okay, there's number 1, it has some important documents. They're also on the home page, but in order to do the syllabus quiz, you need to read the syllabus. It's linked here. It was also on our homepage, but it's here linked here again because the page is called syllabus, right? And therefore I linked that again. It's a Word document in case you have not seen it yet. All right, it has our email addresses, and it has all the important information about the class. And it doesn't want me to. So here we go. Sorry, I need to get your pictures a little bit out of the way. So it has all the important information about the class, for sure, the regular thing like the student learning outcomes, the course description, the textbook information, and then it has a description of the assignments, everything what we just went through. The chapter summaries are graded, 10 points each. The pre-lecture assignments are 10 points per chapter. Some chapters have actually 2 pre-lecture assignments, and then it's 5 and 5, but then they are also very short. Homework exercises 10, the adapted assignments 10. Then we have a few discussion forums scheduled. They're also 10. And then we have financial statement analysis assignments. We only have 2 of those. They are a little bit bigger project, and therefore they have 20, but everything else is 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, and 10. And I also will post some extra credit assignments. And for the extra credit assignments, I will assign points depending on how intense they are, but often it's between 5 and 10 points. I totally recommend, if one of these is coming up, please do it. They are, number 1, very interesting. For example, I ask you to go to the SEC website or the FASB website, the Security Exchange Commission and the Financial Accounting Standards Board, and just researches it and write up a page what you learned from researching that website. It's easy. I always call it easy points, and it's really can help you later if, you know, maybe one of the exams is not coming out as well as you had hoped it to be. So it can make up, these extra credit points they are very good in kind of like helping to get to the 100% in your exams if you didn't quite get there. So also there is a late work policy. Late work policy is 25% deduction on all late work. For sure, in the first week, I will be very lenient about that because we all like getting into the groove. But really, please try to not fall behind the schedule. In an online class, that is the biggest problem, especially in a really condensed situation as we have, because we have only 8 weeks to take this class, right? But the advantage is that once you're done, you can register for the accounting 240 class and have it both done in one semester. This is the amazing part. But again, please don't fall behind with your, okay. Examinations, we will have 3 examinations and they are 100 points each. So they are pretty weighty, but again, you have a lot of assignments. And if you really do a good job on the assignments, try to keep on track so that you don't get a late deduction, make sure that they are complete, then you should be able to kind of like have 100% of all the other stuff. And then the exams don't weigh, they can't weigh you down. And again, as I said before, there will be extra credit in case one of the exams doesn't come back at the grade that you had hoped for. As you can see here, the class total is 930 points. So the exams are less than a third of that. Everything else are assignments where you can really make sure you have 100%. So if you have 100% on all that, plus you have a chance to get extra credit, there is no reason why you should not get an A in this class. There's really no reason. You guys can do that. At the very end, there is the schedule of assignments. So we are in week one. Week one, we have 3 due dates. They are a little bit different from normal because we had the holiday yesterday. Due dates are Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday for Wednesday for the welcome discussion and syllabus review, Friday for the first chapter, which is really basic, really gentle. So you should be breezing through that because as in every textbook, it's very general. And then the first really like accounting chapter is chapter 2. And that is the one where you really have to start working hard. And that is due on Sunday. Our normal schedule is usually 2 things per week, 2 chapters. Like in the next week, you see chapter 3 and 4, and then they are due on Wednesday and Saturday. And then on Sunday, you have just a discussion post. So it's the discussion post is kind of like just a closeout for that week. And that is usually the same. Either you have 2 chapters, one on Wednesday, one on Saturday, and then you have the discussion post on Sunday, or you have an exam and a chapter, and then the discussion post on Sunday. Okay. If we have an FSA assignment, that is would also be due on that Sunday, so that you kind of like can set time aside to work on that. The FSA's assignment, as I said, are a little bit more meaty than regular homework assignments. So busy schedule, but again, in 8 weeks, it's over, promise. So we're going back. The syllabus will show you what is due, and you see tomorrow, syllabus quiz, welcome discussion forum, and then on Friday, the 1 work, on Sunday, the chapter 2 work, and then we go into that regular thing. Chapter on Wednesday, chapter work on Saturday, and then the discussion on Sunday. That's how it's going to look like. You probably have discovered these nifty links I put on the left-hand side, direct link to this Zoom lecture and a direct link to both tutoring sessions. So you click them. Sometimes it's asking you for a passcode, sometimes it doesn't, I don't know, but to make sure that you know the passcode, I put that, I added that. So any questions on any of these parts before Bob is starting to lecture? Oh, registering for Wiley. Sorry, I totally forgot that. How do you register for Wiley? So there's actually several parts. You can click any of the Wiley assignments, the tutorial, the adaptive assignment, any of those should take you to the Wiley page. And if you have not already registered with Wiley, that it will open up a registration page. For sure, it didn't do it for me because I'm already registered. but it will definitely do it for you. So there is something else really, really nifty. I want you to put you there. I hope it's showing up. Okay. Wiley has some course resources also for you, but again, you need to read, and this is more PowerPoints. They also have flashcards, they have a crossword puzzle. I mean, you probably don't have a lot of time in this course, but if there is any more stuff for any chapter, you look for a chapter 1, 33 more resources. You can spend 24 hours a day with accounting if you like that. They have really a lot of reasons, and I just want to let you know that. So if you experience difficulties in register Wiley, they have offered a 2, and I hope I put this on the homepage, and if not, I at least put it into the announcement. Let me see. They offer a daily office hour starting today. I believe it's Tuesday with Thursday. Let me see. Wiley Plus help meeting, right? So in that email you received, and if you just added the class you did not receive, but it's on the announcements page, there is Wiley student hours. So if click on the link in our class, the Wiley link, and it's not showing the registration page, or you're working on the registration, you get stuck. There is today, tomorrow, Thursday, from 4 p.m. they have live office hours. So you click on that link, which I put in today's announcement, that email this morning, and you click on wiley.zoom.us. That is when you will see, when you will meet a live Wiley representative will help you. And they will let you share the screen, or you just describe the problem and they will walk you through. So please, if you have any issues with me, there's no waiting in line. You just click on there. It's an open Zoom room and they will help you out. Okay. So now time for questions. Any questions?
There haven't been many problems registering with Wiley though, right?
I haven't heard. Leiba, have you registered for Wiley already or not yet?
No, I ordered my textbook, so I'm just waiting for it to come. I think the code will come with it.
Okay, so good point, Leiba. So I don't want anyone to lose any, and not even a single day while waiting for a textbook that you ordered. And the textbook, if you bought it from the bookstore, it will come with a Wiley Plus access code. So what I want you to do is still register for Wiley, but they have a 2-week free courtesy access. So on that registration page, make sure you look for 2-week free trial or a 2-week free access. Select this option, and then you can start working. And once your actual textbook arrives, you can enter the access code, which comes with a textbook package, into the Wiley page or Wiley system, and then you will have the permanent access. Thank you so much for that question.
Thank you. Thank you.
Really cool.
Oh, thank you. I'll do that.
Perfect. All right. So if nobody else has a question, then I think the most efficient thing is to let Bob share his screen now and start with the chapter 1 lecture. Again, Bob, we promised to make it not too long. Chapter 1, I think
We did?
can get it going. Yes, I promised it. I just promised it. All right.
I took the wind out of my sails with that.
Yeah, I will stop talking now. I mean, the lectures, to be realistic, usually Bob will be able to complete the lectures in 1 hour. there might be chapters where we need more time. There are like chapters like chapter, I believe chapter 10 is one of those, where we might have to spend 2 lecture sessions on one chapter just because it's so demanding. I don't know why the authors of the book like picked the material and how they packed it into chapters, but there are some chapters which are really somewhat heavier than the other ones, but we will let you know, and in need we will schedule more live lectures for that. And again, Bob is there at least 3 times a week for tutoring. That's also a great way to bring questions. And also there's in the tutoring sessions, there's also students from other classes. So what I usually love is that this is a great place to just hang out, even though it's only via Zoom, to just hang out with other people. And Bob has more jokes from Pennsylvania and from baseball. And it's usually just having a good time and study accounting. So this said, I'm saying goodbye for today, and I leave it all to Bob. Bob, take it away.
Thank you, Cornelia. Okay, ready to roll, Liba?
Yes.
This is certainly not going to take an hour if you were worried about that. This is pretty basic introductory type material. It's interesting the way Wiley goes through a few chapters before we get into debits and credits, different than other textbooks that we've seen. So here we go. They always start these chapters with learning objectives, types of businesses, forms of businesses, and the 4 financial statements. Identify the forms of business organization and the uses of accounting information. So what we're talking here are sole proprietorships, partnerships, corporations. Sole proprietorship, simple to open up. One person runs it, takes all of the risk. There's huge personal risk, Liba. You probably know that. There's huge personal risk if you open up a sole proprietorship, because if the business fails, the creditors can come after not only your business investments, but your personal belongings as well. So sole proprietorships, high risk, high reward, I guess. Partnerships, same thing. It has the same liability if things go badly. And I'm not talking any special type of different partnerships you can take up, just basic partnerships. And a corporation, that's where the corporate shields protects you. If the company goes bad, makes bad business decisions, no one's going to get sued unless it's for some malfeasance of some kind, okay? Who uses the financial statements? Well, you can break them out into internal and external users. Internal, well, your finance department certainly needs to know what's going on. You might call that the accounting department, I guess. Marketing needs to know. Marketing wants to know how well certain products are selling, which ones are not driving the proper margins, which products should we sell, which products should we delete. They want to know these things. Management, of course, always needs to know. And human resources has to have a pretty good sense of how the company's doing financially in order to line up interviews for possible hires, get ready for an expansion perhaps, or a contraction. External users. These are the people who really want to look and see what's going on with the company. Investors. Is General Electric earning satisfactory income? Anybody who invested in General Electric over the last 30 years knows the answer is very sadly no. General Electric is almost out of business, sad to say. But the point is, investors want to see how a company's doing. You're not going to buy shares of a stock unless you verify that the company's making money, or it has potential, or there's some good products in the pipeline. Creditors. No one's going to loan you money. A creditor is a lender. A creditor is not going to loan you money unless they think you have a good chance of paying it back. So they're going to want to look at your financial statements. And then they have another one here with investors, where you compare one company in a segment to another. So investors and creditors, outside people. I'm going to go past the job opportunities. Ethics in financial reporting. Over the last 20 years, I'm going to say, probably 25 years, This business community in America was plagued by some of the worst scandals in American history. Enron, WorldCom, HealthSouth, AIG. You're familiar? I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Enron, Leiba.
No.
No, not Enron. Let me talk about Enron briefly then. Enron was an energy trading company out of Houston, Texas, that was making money hand over fist. It seemed like everybody wanted to buy Enron stock. The stock was going up, 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 up. The thing is, though, they were vague about how they made their money. To make a long story much shorter, a young lady named Bethany McLean, a writer for Fortune magazine, interviewed top management. And when she got done, she still didn't understand how they were making money. It seemed like it was a lot of smoke and mirrors. And it turned out to be just that. It became the largest bankruptcy in American history. Out of business, everybody who worked there lost their 401k. So what I'm leading up to, Leiba and everybody, is that because of Enron and WorldCom and others, Congress passed the Sarbanes-Oxley Act. And you need to know what that is. It's an act. Paul Sarbanes from Minnesota, James Oxley from Maryland, I believe, were the two politicians involved. And it put some onerous conditions on companies that weren't there before. It used to be a company could put out bad financial statements, and then when they turn out to be a bunch of fraud, top management could say, hey, I'm not the accounting department. I don't know what's going into those things. Yeah, I signed them, but I didn't really know what I was signing. And they could actually get away with that. Those days are over now. So you come up with bad financial statements, you will go to jail, unlike before. Ethics in financial reporting, huh? Every financial transaction could have an ethical component to it. Recognize an ethical situation and the ethics involved. Use your personal ethics to identify ethical situations. Some businesses and professional organizations have their own code of ethics. Follow them. Solving an ethical dilemma. Identify and analyze the principal elements. Ignore the stakeholders in a transaction. If I process this transaction, who is it going to help and who is it going to hurt? Is there another way to do this? Would I want to be the person who gets hurt by this type of transaction? So ethics in reporting, I guess this book is going to pound that into us as we go along. If there's an ethical problem, identify alternatives. Weigh the impact of the alternative. Select the most ethical alternative. We always want to do the right thing. If you don't want to be, you want to make the decision that enables you to sleep at night. And these are some of the reasons people prepare these false statements. I felt the pressure. You're working with a company and they're in a hurry to close the financial statements and everybody's working hard. And management said, do this. In this case here, I was instructed by the chief financial officer to create invoices knowing they would not be sent to clients. When I created these invoices, I knew it was inappropriate. That's from peer pressure. What they did there, Leiba, was they made up phony invoices to inflate their sales number for the period, made them look pretty good until those sales turned out to be fraudulent. I intentionally gave the auditors incorrect information in the course of an audit, all on the pressure side. In choosing the organizational form for your outdoor guide service, you should consider the pros and cons of each. Hold on one second. Different benefits, I guess, Leiba, with each type of organization. Easier to raise funds. Corporations can raise money very easily. All they do is issue stock to the public. They can borrow money pretty easily. And also with corporations, there's no legal liability, easy to transfer ownership. But sole proprietorships and partnerships are easy to set up. Which of the following did not result from Sarbanes-Oxley? And it had nothing to do with tax rates. But let's take a look at this for just a moment. What did Sarbanes-Oxley do in terms of laws? Top management must now certify the accuracy. There's penalties for fraudulent activity, that were not there before, and the independence of the auditors increased. What made Enron such a horrible, horrible bankruptcy was that Enron was bribing Arthur Andersen, the accounting firm that was doing the audits and the reporting for them. 3 types of business activity. You'll hear a lot about this as we go forward. Financing, investing, and operating, The accounting information system keeps track of these types of activities. Financing. Financing means borrowing. That's all we're talking about, really. Borrowing money, raising money. Corporation can raise money by issuing stock to the public, or they issue a bond to the public where they're borrowing money. Each has an advantage and disadvantage compared to each other. And we're going to have a whole chapters on those 2 items. Amounts owed are called liabilities. Creditors are the people who loan us money. And here we go. Notes payable, bonds payable, different types of liabilities. Financing, that's raising money, okay? Financing, again, we're borrowing money. We're issuing stock. This is the second way to do it. You can raise money through debt, which is what the bond was all about here, or we can raise it through equity, giving away part of our company in the form of stock ownership. Investing, what we're talking about here primarily, is buying a huge fixed asset of some type, a huge outlay of cash for a big machine or a building, something like that, that the company's going to have for a long time, hopefully helping them generate profits. Those machines are depreciated over a period of time, and they're called fixed assets, long-term assets. Other activities, investing activities, computers, trucks, furniture, you get the idea. And of course, investing in another company. Coca-Cola is in the business of making soda. They have nothing to do with Microsoft, but Coca-Cola is just like an individual person. Coca-Cola can go out and buy stock in another company like Microsoft if they wish to. Operations, operating activities. Here's where you want to see good results. Here's where you want to see the good results. You don't want it in investing necessarily. You don't want it in financing. You want to be able to show that the business can do what it was set up to do. Operations begin once they acquire assets. Operating is the core meaning of the business. Coca-Cola is in the business of producing soda. Any activity involved in getting a can of soda out the door onto the shelf at 7-Eleven, that is an operating activity. We're talking selling your product, collecting from customers, buying raw materials, paying your bills, paying your employees, paying the electric bill. Anything involved in running the normal course of the business is called operating, and that's where you want to see your positive cash flows. So revenues are generated from the sales of the product, inventory and asset, accounts receivable. Accounts receivable represents the exact number that your customers owe you at that point in time. If accounts receivable today was $1 million, that would mean that I owe you 200,000, someone else owes you 100,000, etc., adding up to the 1 million. And then you have the operating expenses. These are what I'm going to call your normal expenses in running the business. Cost of goods sold. Cost of goods sold is simply what you paid for the item you sold. In this book here, we are pretty much like Nordstrom's. We're a department store. So Nordstrom sells a piece of a garment for $1,000. That's the sale. They paid $400 for that. That would be the cost of that sale. Liabilities come up from expenses. Companies could have net income or net losses. Who knew? Okay. Now they're jumping ahead here, but they're saying classify each of these guys as an asset, liability, common stock, revenue, or expense. We don't know it yet, but assets equal liabilities plus the equity, which is common stock, and revenues minus expenses equal your net income. So they're giving you the solution here. The cost of renting a property, that's an expense. Purchases, remember that was a big investment. Notes payable is a liability. Whenever you see the word payable, you know it's a liability. You're issuing stock, that'd be common stock, etc. Amount earned from performing services, revenue. Amount owed to suppliers, liability. Let's talk about the 4 financial statements that all businesses prepare and all investors are interested in them, okay? The 4 financial statements are in order of preparation, and that's important to understand. You can only prepare them in this order, and you'll learn why as we go along in the next week or so. We start with the income statement, the retained earnings statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flows. Income statement, did we make money? Retained earnings is what the business is worth on paper. Did we go up or down? Balance sheet lists all your assets and liabilities at a point in time. And cash flows, break out cash flows into operating, financing, and investing. Take a look at your first financial statement. Here's a very simple income statement. The income statement is telling us it's for Sierra Corporation for the month ended October 31. Service revenue, 10,600. They had various expenses here. We add up those expenses, that's 7,740. We subtract the revenues, and then we subtract the expenses from the revenues to get net income of $2,860. So this company here had profit of $2,860 on sales of 10.6. So to me, that's a pretty darn good profit. That's about a 29% profit. Figuring it out in my head, close to 30% perhaps. If this person, Sierra Corporation, decided to put their money in, put that $10,600 in the bank, they would get maybe 1% on it. But they took the risk of opening a business and contributed to the economy. Income statement records revenues, expenses for a period of time. Income results when revenues exceed expenses. Net loss results when expenses exceed revenues. I think we don't need to take an accounting class to understand that, huh? And past net income provides information for predicting future earnings. Let's take a look at the retained earnings statement, Lyra. Remember we said we had to do the income statement first, which they're demonstrating here. What was our net income? 2,860. We come to the retained earnings statement, and at the beginning of the month, we have 0 in retained earnings. Retained earnings is a component of equity. Retained earnings is where the company records its income and losses over the years. When this company began, Sierra Corp, on October 1, it had no retained earnings because it was a brand new company, okay? At the end of the year, they had net income of 2,860. So their equity, the net worth of the business went up by 2,860. So that's what retained earnings represents. It represents the first year here, 2,860 up. Next year, they had a profit of 7. Now retained earnings is up to 10. It went up another 20. Now it's up to 30. Offsetting it can be dividends. Dividends get charged out through retained earnings. So this company said, well, we had a pretty good year. We made 2,860 on sales of 10.6. Our dividends are 500. A dividend is a payment to a shareholder who owns the share of stock. And it's could be a significant source of income for some people, or it could be just a little, side income you have going there. You show the amounts of the change and the cause of the change. And notice again, it has the same heading in terms of the words, for the month ended. That's important to understand, for the month ended, because we're showing the entire month from beginning to end. Here, they're just preparing graphically, Lab. They're showing you what we just went over, that the net income has to be done first because that has to come over to the retained earnings statement. And now that we have the ending retained earnings, we can do the balance sheet. We can do the balance sheet. And let's take a look at the balance sheet, huh? You notice, Liba, it does not say for the month ended. It cannot say that. It has to be a specific point in time. This has to say Sierra Corp balance sheet. You could say as of October 31 or at October 31. But these numbers are not cumulative. Like in the revenues, sales on the first day were 100, the second day 200, they go up. Your expenses start at 0, they go up. You're capturing a whole movie. This is a snapshot. This is a look at how much you had in assets and liabilities and equity at the end of the month, the balance sheet. And this is where a lot of analysts start when they're looking at a company. You know, they'll say, I'll glance at the income statement real quick. Okay, you made money, that's good. But a lot of analysis comes out of the balance sheet. So assets equal liabilities plus equity. Assets equal liabilities plus equity. You're going to know that better than your own name, but that's called the accounting equation. Assets equals liabilities plus equity. And that equation must always be in balance. It can never go out of balance. In the year 2022, where we have some very significantly enhanced software, it's pretty much impossible to go out of balance. No computer system's going to let you let you post an out of balance transaction. I wouldn't think. I don't think you'll ever have to worry about that. Back in the day, in the 70s, it was hell when we did it in pencil. The balance sheet, a specific point in time. Assets equals liabilities plus equity. The heading of a balance sheet must identify the company, the statement, and the date. The date, not the month of. So now that we have the balance sheet done, we can talk about where did we get that retained earnings number from? Came right from here, right from the retained earnings statement. So you start to see the relationships a little bit. Income statement is done first. It must be done first because it feeds the equity statement, if you will, or statement of retained earnings, which then drives the number going into the balance sheet. And then the balance sheet can get you going on the cash flow statement. Now, I'm not going to spend any real time on this because we've got an entire chapter just on cash flows. But let me give you a taste of it here. At the beginning of the period, this company had no money. There was no company. This is their first year. And at the end of the year, they had $15,200. Management wants to know where that money came from. So let's take a look. Well, 5,700 came from operations. In other words, they sold products that brought in cash flows, brought in cash, and they had more cash coming in than going out operations-wise. But that's pretty much offset by investing here. As a new company, they had to buy some equipment. So at this point, these kind of wash each other out. And the real action was in financing. They issued money, they issued stock to the public, they issued bonds, they paid dividends. These are financing activities. So you'd go to your boss and you'd say, boss, we had 5,700 in positive cash flows from operations. Don't forget though, boss, we invested 5,000 in that big machine out you see out back. And then we had to raise a lot of money being a new company. Cash flow, what does it tell us? Where did each cash item come from during the period? How was cash used? What was the change during the period? And looking at, I don't know if you can read this. Jesus, can't make it bigger. So the balance sheet brings over the cash balance here from the balance sheet. And this is your operating statement, your cash flow statement. Net income will result during a time period when, if there's a God in heaven, it better be D, huh? Revenues exceed expenses. Which of the following is prepared, which statement is prepared at a specific period in time? We just decided very clearly that was the balance sheet, right? People, planet, and profit insight. Goodbye. Prepare an income statement. Okay. CSU Corp began operations. The following information is available. And they're asking us to prepare an income statement. Okay. Let's do it together here, Libby. You ready? We're going to start with what to do with the income statement. We're always going to start with the sales. Okay. So we're going to have service revenue to start probably, and then we're going to subtract expenses. And that's all we're looking at now with the income statement. So when we're looking through our list of possibilities in the chart of accounts, we know accounts receivables an asset, payables a liability. That doesn't go there. But they did have rent expense. I see insurance expense and supplies expense. You know how you can tell it's an expense? Because they tell you with the word expense, okay? We're not trying to keep this stuff a secret. So you have 17,000 minus 9 for rent, minus 1 for insurance, minus 200 for supplies, and there's the income statement. So that's a quick income statement. Now they want us to do a retained earnings statement, library retained earnings statement. And as we know, that the retained earnings statement is beginning equity plus profit minus dividends is essentially what we're talking about. So what do we have here? We know the beginning was 0. So the question is, they're saying, uh-oh, how do we come up with the retained earnings number? Well, the first thing we're going to do is come up with our net income. That was 6,800. Are there any dividends? Did we have any dividends? Yeah, we did. So what I'm thinking we should see here when we go to the next screen, Liba, is we should see 0 to begin with, plus net income of 6,800 minus those dividends. And that's all there is to it. This is a poor man's look at the financial statements, okay? Now they want us to do an income statement, retained earnings statement, and a balance sheet. Oh, a balance sheet. So what is a balance sheet? It's assets equal liabilities plus equity. And we're always going to list our assets and liabilities in order of liquidity. I'm getting ahead of the class a little bit, but in order of cash, cash, what's the word I want? Cash transfusion. Cash, 1,400. Let's see what else we have. Accounts receivable, that's an asset. See, accounts payable, that's a liability. I'm looking for liabilities. Liability, no. And I'm looking for assets. Equipment is an asset. So far we have cash, accounts receivable, and equipment. We have supplies, okay, which are not an expense. Supplies is an asset, supplies expense is the expense. So there we go. Cash plus the accounts receivable plus supplies. And then we came up with notes payable and accounts payable. I don't see any other payables there. And then we get into our equity statement. We're going to have 10,000 in common stock. And we're going to show the increase of 6,200 here in equity. We add them up. Total assets equal 23,200. Total liabilities equal 23,200. We are balanced, and those are the statements. Now they can, if it's a big company, they'll have a press release and they'll email these out immediately to all the top investment houses in the country, possible big lenders. Other elements of an annual report. When we get later in the course, we're going to prepare a couple of what are called FSAs, financial statement analysis. I picked 2 major companies in the same business, and you report on their earnings. The annual report includes your financial statements, but it also has management discussions and notes and the auditor's report. And the notes to the financial statements are super important. Management's discussion. Presents management's view on the company, their ability to pay their bills, how the company's doing. And management must highlight good and bad. They can't tiptoe around the bad things. And they have to talk about significant events and uncertainties that would affect these factors. And here's an example of a management discussion analysis. And they might be saying something like, I bet a lot of companies right now are saying something, our business is doing okay, but we are not sure what the future looks like with COVID. As long as this pandemic is out there, it could foul up our supply lines and thus impact cash and net income unfavorably. I'm sure there's a lot of comments along those lines. The notes to the financial statements are super important. Here's a note on revenue recognition. They're talking about when they recognize their income, at the point of sale, not when the cash comes through. Elements of an annual report, the auditor's report. The auditor's opinion as to the fairness of the presentation of the financial position and results of operations and their conformance with generally accepted accounting principles. GAAP, GAAP. LIBA, that's another acronym you're going to have to understand very clearly. GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles, the rules of accounting, if you will. And only CPAs may perform audits.
Can you please repeat what GAAP was? Generally accepting?
Generally accepted accounting principles. GAAP. They're the rules of accounting as promulgated by the FASB group. And we'll get into this a little more. You'll see it a lot more. Components of annual reports. They're just giving you some ideas here. Description of significant policies would be in the notes. The unqualified opinion. That's the kind of opinion you want from the auditor at the end of the audit. It's called an unqualified opinion. And you want it to say something along the lines of this. In our opinion, such statements present fairly the results of this company. You want an unqualified opinion. These numbers are good. We're not qualifying anything. You have to talk about future contingencies, lawsuits possibly, description of ability to fund operations. That would go into management discussion and analysis, and certified public accountants does the auditor's report. We don't really get into the international at all, LIBA, okay? So with that in mind, I'm going to call a halt to the proceedings. I think that was enough for one early morning, don't you?
Yes.
How's this all pretty easy for you?
Yes, it's not that bad. My dad has a company, so I help him organize. And so I have kind of have an idea of what you were talking about. Yeah, no, that's great. If you can succeed at UCSB, I'm sure, you come back and do well here. Okay. Well, with that in mind, I make a motion to end the meeting. Do you second the motion? Yes.
Okay, Lab, but we'll see you on Thursday, okay?
Bye.
Hey, bye-bye.